Sorry, bro.
Hello together. It has been 2 years that I uploaded my last video, so it is high time to give you an update. After more than 3 years surviving over here in Mexico, I have to say that I did not regret it one single time to make this move. It is really a different world compared to Europe, and some of you might be interested to learn a bit more about life over here. So I prepared a selection of off-road rides in all sorts of environment, between the sea and up to the mountains, including a volcano that we climbed up together with Mario Roman. And while these videos are playing, I will tell you a few specialities and anecdotes over life over here. But now comes the intro first. Our journey starts here at sea level in the state of Veracruz. And riding is also possible on the beach and in the dunes, but not everywhere. A super place for this is Chachalacas, around 2 hours from our home in Puebla. In Europe, I either put my dirt bike into the van or I pull it with a trailer. Trailer allows you to haul more than 2 bikes, but has some disadvantages. First, it blocks the parking space, and besides, the further access costs additionally at the toll stations of the highways. That is probably one of the reasons why many Mexicans have a pickup truck. Their sense of cost optimization seems to have no bounds. When I'm traveling alone, I use a transport rail that attaches to the hitch as a low-cost option. But drive carefully. There are numerous speed bumps called topes. Depending on how rough the tope is, you have to drive over it very carefully. Otherwise, the support arm can collapse, as it happened to me once. Now we drive a bit inland to Piedra Pinta, where I participated in a hare scramble. The climate is very warm, with high humidity, and our start was brought forward to 9 a.m. because the temperatures quickly rise to over 35 degrees Celsius, which is 95 Fahrenheit. The course was in the jungle. On the banana leaves it was slippery, but a great experience. The next leg is in Las Vegas, at the foot of the mountains around Jalapa, what is known for its coffee. We already reach an altitude of over 2,500 meters above sea level. As you can see, conifers are growing more and more here, and the air is also different, which I will come back to later. The next place is again lower, but still in the mountains, where I participated in the training with the Husqvarna factory rider Alfredo Gomez. It is not cheap, but a great experience to ride with a world-class hard enduro rider. Day 1 was technical training on a local track with man-made obstacles, and day 2, after rain, we went out into the wilderness, where we tried to put into practice what we had learned. The next leg is in Jico, where I was again at the start of the race series Campeonato Sierras Poblanas Hare Scramble. Here it often rains and the track can soon turn into a slide, where the easiest hill climbs can be very demanding. Now we come to Perote in the dry season. The course had a lot of fast sections, but the highlight is the abandoned hospital, where there is no elevator, so we were allowed to use the stairs. We are now entering the state of Tlaxcala. In San Pablo del Monte, I managed a hole shot with a wheelie, which is also the only thing I can be proud of in this race. In the gravel of the riverbed it rides like in the sand, what exhausted me so that I have not landed on the podium due to a minor crash. A little further on, in San Simon, we rode a varied route in the rainy season. The organizer had also built some nice obstacles. Unfortunately, the bypass was faster for the chickens than the way over the set-up van, so that I lost my hole shot position. Later there was a ditch to overcome, through which I struggled slowly the day before, like my frontman here. It requires commitment, but I jumped over it and was again in front, which gave me sparks of joy. But later I chose a wrong track, got stuck in the mud and finished as third. In the state of Puebla where we live, there are great enduro tracks in Aras. The day before the race there were a number of crashes. I also got caught when I was stuck between my bike and a rock and couldn't free myself. This is why when you go out and look for some new trails, you never should go alone. You don't know what may happen. Fortunately, I didn't have to wait long for help, but it felt like ages. And it remembers me the movie 127 Hours, where that poor mountain biker had to cut his arm off. It was the final race of the 2020 championship and I ended fourth. But P2 had started a fist fight during the race and was disqualified later. It is not reported who won the boxing, but because of this I was honored third place and nominated season's vice champion in my class of 50 and above. In Valsequillo, there is a fast track which I liked a lot, but there are not so many opportunities to overtake, to overcome. Sometimes you do have to make your own lane where nobody else is going, as Cody Webb said. I almost made first place if I didn't dump my bike away at that slope. At Aguacate there is a hard and dry track. No shadow and the sun is shining mercilessly. In some sections it is quite fast, but as Alfredo Gomez said, you don't win the race on the fast sections, but on the difficult ones. I lost my quite good position on this even not so difficult downhill on an agave. Now we come to my home turf, to the west of Puebla City. The sport is popular here and you quickly connect with the local community. The residents tolerate us and I hope that the behavior of all active sportsmen will remain considerate so that we can continue to practice this great sport over here. There are experienced pilots who also offer training. In addition to some cross trails, there are of course also beautiful enduro trails that you should not explore alone. First, you can hurt yourself and may be found days later, and secondly, you're not welcome everywhere. In the best case, you lose only motorcycle and all belongings, including gear, and can go home barefoot. But still, these assaults are great exceptions. Almost all people here are friendly, polite and helpful. And that most of the people in the country always have a hand on their machete does not mean anything. It is simply part of their nature. Just be polite and don't provoke them. By the way, in winter the tracks here are hard and dusty due to the dry season. In summer, it rains heavily at times and the landscape becomes green and muddy in some places. As another highlight, Sherco factory rider Mario Roman came to visit us and we also had a day of technical training on our playground and then the volcano climb to which I will come later. But there was a run of the Campeonato Sierras Poblanas at Colzingo. As so often, I had a good start. But unfortunately it did not go so well for me and I had a small rollover and got stuck in that mud hole.
Ahí está. A huevo, así ahora. 12, 3.
Gracias. The next race takes us to a wonderful place at the foot of the extinct volcano Iztaccíhuatl, also called the Sleeping Woman or Iztac, on the abandoned grounds of a large hacienda called Los Vaqueros. We go along the slopes and stairs. Before the corona pandemic, the local club Almonte organized an excursion Salida Fin del Año in December. Depending on riding skills, various groups formed to ride up the Izta from a meeting point. Different trails lead to a plateau at 3,700 meters where bikers meet for a picnic together. In Europe, this altitude would be long above the tree line, but it is amazing what, thanks to the climate, here still prevails for vegetation. But the lack of oxygen, my body and motorcycle already feel clearly.
Me voy con ellos. Hasta luego.
I hope that these events will be possible again in the future. The second day of our training with Mario Roman, he was really keen on going up that mountain Popocatépetl. The top is at 5,400 meters and there's a trail going up. But it is an active volcano that often spews lava and toxic gases. So we took up the challenge, of course. On the way, Mario took the opportunity to show the technique of pivot turns. Amazing. And above the tree line, it became more and more difficult to drive on the very loose volcanic ash. But the relentless Mario managed to drive us up.
Sorry, bro. Volkswagen México. Full gas. Ya queda poco para llegar. Vamos. Muy bien, muy bien.
At about 4,200 meters, it was over with my condition. Already in Puebla, at 2,300 meters, the air is so thin that you need 10 minutes to hard boil an egg. But this year gave me the rest. The others had made it further up and called me that I could go up for the group photo. But that was not possible. What you see here is only the perspective of my camera. I myself felt like when you get up too fast. It becomes black in front of your eyes and all control lights are flashing. But it was a unique experience and obviously for Mario as well. Take a look at his video on his channel too.
By the way, I would have been back in Germany by now, but I am still needed here and I was really happy when they asked me if I could stay for another year. And apart from riding, there's so much more I would like to show to you, but there is plenty of material. It would fill another half an hour or so. If you are interested in certain topics of daily life over here, write it in the comments or give me some hints of your favorite places to visit. I will see what I can summarize in another video. I hope you enjoyed my video. Ride safe and see you next time. Bye!